Good evening, and thank you all so very much for attending today's school board meeting. I will now call this meeting to order. Do we have any amendments to the agenda, please?
Madam Chair, we have two amendments to the agenda. The first amendment is under the special order agenda. I'd like to add the Academies of Distinction awards that will be presented this evening. And the second agenda deals with the unfinished business under the public hearing to consider the amendments of policy 2250. 2250, in addition to the proposed changes of the first reading to permit students in fundamental schools to participate in extracurricular activities in their zone schools, the same language will be added to the second reading to extend the same opportunity to all district application programs, including magnet and career high school career programs. So those are the two amendments to the agenda. Thank you.
You're welcome. And board members, there was a hard copy of the proposed changes also placed at your seats earlier on this evening. Regarding amendments to today's agenda, I find good cause to amend the agenda as follows. A new special order agenda item number 4 was added to present the Academies of Distinction Awards, and number 2, unfinished business agenda item number 1 was amended to include the additional language as described by Dr. Grego just a few moments ago.
Move approval as amended.
And there's been a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you so very much. We will have our invocation by Pastor Joe Glimpf, Prince of Peace Lutheran Church. That will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, the National Anthem, and we will have a second song on today. That second song will be introduced. I don't want to take away the thunder. It will be introduced by our school supports. So if we could please stand.
Let us pray. God of all grace, we thank you for the beauty of this day, the community in which we live, love of our family and friends, all blessings from you. We thank you especially for the children whom you placed in our care at this time in their lives and our lives. Renew their parents' resolve, we pray, to create a firm foundation for learning in their homes. Bless as well the village raising these children, from teachers guiding them every day to counselors and administrators, to bus drivers, maintenance and food service workers, to crossing guards. Grant them all perseverance for long days and satisfaction in their work. We pray for our children and our youth. Give them strength to resist temptations, to walk where it is unsafe, and to do what is unwise. And as we walk with them each day, help us not only to impart knowledge, but guide us as well to stimulate their minds, to stir their imaginations and dreams, encourage their curiosity, to discover their gifts and help them to grow. Teach them to think, we pray. And guide this board that they may have courage and compassion in the face of so many pressures to set policies that are most effective for all. Hear our prayers, O God, for you are indeed our rock and redeemer. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's
You may be seated for the second song.
It is a delight to be here. My name is Robert Knabel. I'm the choral director at Eastlake High School. This is my 40th year teaching, still loving it. It's an amazing profession. Working with young people, it's simply amazing. So we are now going to sing one madrigal from our medieval Renaissance set, Thomas Morley's Sing We Enchanted. And it's simply about enjoying life. You have one chance to go around, so enjoy it. Sing We Enchanted by Thomas Morley.
Sing we enchanted, while the frantic, fa la 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 la. Sing we enchanted, while the frantic, fa la 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 la. Not long you've lasted, that old age hasted, now is best leisure to take our pleasure. Fa la 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 la. Not long you've lasted, that old age hasted, now is best leisure to take our pleasure. Fa la 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 la. All things invite us now to delight us. Fa la 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 la. All things invite us now to delight us. Fa la 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 la. Hence care be packing, now earth be lacking. Let's spare no treasure to live in pleasure. Fa la 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 la. Hence care be packing, now earth be lacking. Let's spare no treasure to live in pleasure. Fa la 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 la.
All right, I want to thank so very much the pastor, Pastor Joe Glimpf from Prince of Peace Lutheran Church. And again, thank you so much to the choral director from Eastlake High School and certainly all of the students. And I have to say that I truly admire the dress and attire. At this time, we will have our video, and it's Never Give Up. Starkey Elementary Associate Tony Forster has dreams of becoming a teacher one day. An important step to reach that goal was earning her GED through the district's Adult Learning Center. Along the way, her husband joined in, and recently, they both graduated. Let's watch their journey.
My job is the ESE associate. I work with 3 and 4-year-olds. I absolutely love working with them because of the fact that when you teach them something and then they finally grasp on different things, it's the highlight of your day. With me working in the schools and working with the children and pretty much having this opportunity, that's what's pushed me to go for it. By the time I went to go enroll into a university, I found out that I had an exceptional education diploma. I wanted to go on to college, and I pushed harder because I knew I had to have a regular GED in order to go to college, because I wanted to continue my education, not just in private preschool, but to be able to teach in public schools. It wasn't hard at all to go back to school, to take the classes and stuff. Majority of my stuff was online. I did online schooling where it was on my own time. And then basically my husband supported that whole part, because a lot of times I would do it when the house was full. A little bit of noise, so I pretty much surround myself where there was a quiet room and stuff, so it just worked out that way. With him going after his GED, I actually felt very proud of him for making that step. How I felt on graduation night, it was definitely emotional. With my husband being there, it was even better. It's been a triumph. It's been one major big step because of the fact that we did it together. So that's what made me even happier.
That was absolutely fabulous, and I know that, yeah. And Mr. Mark Hunt, when he introduced it, I think he had just as much joy from introducing the two of them than anyone else. We just recently had our graduation at the Mahaffey, and that's where they both graduated from, so that's absolutely fabulous. It just shows that you can never stop learning. We now have our introduction to professional and community organization representatives by Ms. Lisa M. Wolf, our public information officer.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Grego and staff, it is my pleasure to introduce the following representatives of community and professional organizations. Representing the Pinellas Educational Support Professionals Association, Nellie Henez. With the Pinellas Classroom Teachers Association, Mike Gandolfo. And representing the Pinellas Arts for a Complete Education Coalition, Brenda Danowitz. Members of the media and in attendance today are representatives from 10 News as well as Fox 13. Today we will have a presentation from Student Rights and Responsibilities Committee. Please welcome from Eastlake High School, Madison Stites, Brooke Reeves, and Brianne Torino. Thank you.
Good evening, Pinellas County School Board and audience. My name is Brooke Reeves. I'm Senior Class President at Eastlake High School. Thank you for having us here this evening. I will later be presenting Eastlake's academic achievements.
Hi, I'm Madison Stites, SGA Board President at Eastlake High, and I will be presenting the athletic achievements. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brianne Torino. I'm SGA Board Vice President, and I'm presenting Eastlake's arts and extracurricular achievements. Last year, our visual arts students won 7 Gold Key Awards, 9 Silver Key Awards, and at the state level of Florida Art Education Association, we won 9 awards for Excellence with Distinction and Best in State Award. Last year, our drama department thrilled audiences with productions of Barefoot in the Park, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, 21 Jump Street, and Schoolhouse Rock Jr. Joseph won a Broadway star for future awards of outstanding musicals, as well as Best Set Design and Most Outstanding Support Actors. 21 Jump Street earned a superior rating at both district and state levels. At districts, they received a record number of Critics' Choice and honorable mentions. Eastlake High School's Winter Guard earned a superior rating at Florida Federation of Color Guard Championships, and the marching band earned a superiors at the Music Performance Assessments. Chorus also had an amazing year, which they were chosen 4th out of 40 choruses at the Music Performance Assessment. The first time in school history, 2 choruses received superior ratings. 7 out of 8 solo entries received a superior rating. They were invited to travel to San Francisco to perform at the international renowned Grace Cathedral, and they performed this year at Disney World and returning to Carnegie Hall. We also have 60 clubs at our school that show everyone's interest that you can get involved in, like Blue Crew, which is our school spirit club, which is we try to go to every game and support our teams.
So once again, I'm Madison Stites, and I will be presenting our impressive athletic achievements. So at Eastlake, we love our sports teams, and our sports teams love us. So our varsity athletes collectively had a 3.44 unweighted GPA, earning Eastlake both the coveted Superintendent's Cup highest GPA trophy and the overall athletic program trophy. Last year, our varsity football team once again had a winning season. Their unweighted GPA was 3.31, and this year, for the 10th year in a row, we were victorious over our fiercest rival, Tarpon Springs. Additionally, for the 3rd year in a row, we beat the newest rival, Palm Harbor. Then, our boys and girls cross country had individual state qualifiers. For track, both boys and girls teams were district champs, with many of our students qualifying for states. The girls were PCAC regional champs. Following that, our girls golf team won both districts, regionals, and are advancing to states. Boys golf won districts and were regional runner-ups, and are also going to states. Our girls and boys tennis teams were both district champs and both have several players qualified for states. Then, our flag football team beat the eventual district and PCAC champs. Our baseball team was district champs and advanced to regionals. Our softball team was PCAC district champions and advanced to regionals too. Led by our seniors, the first Team 79 Crunch Robotics team proudly represented Eastlake High School at the regionals in Orlando and took home the much sought after Team Spirit Award. Go Eagles.
Good evening. As I said before, my name is Brooke Reeves. To close our presentation, I'm here this evening to talk about the academic achievements at Eastlake High. We are a wall-to-wall academy, having the Business Academy, Engineering, Performing and Visual Arts, and the Biomedical Sciences, which is one of our new and budding programs. We have 12 honor societies, with our newest addition being the National Technical Honor Society. We also boast the largest National Honor Society in the Pinellas County, with 144 new members this year, who are going to be inducted soon. 38 of our graduates last year earned their Associates of Arts college degree at the same time from SPC. Last year, 80 students graduated with their Pinellas County School Advanced Scholars designation. And also on top of that, one of our many achievements is last year that we had 22 students who are graduating with our AP Capstone Diploma. To add on top of our achievements, our Business Academy had over 1,400 students earn industry certifications, which is the most out of the entire district. Students at Eastlake took 1,727 AP exams as well, the most of any high school, and earned the highest passing rate. Eastlake provides an impressive amount of foreign languages on top of that, including Chinese, German, French, and Spanish, which is more than any average amount offered at other high schools. On top of that, in conclusion, last year our students contributed an amazing 47,579 volunteer hours to serve our community. On behalf of Eastlake High School, where Eagles soar the highest, thank you for your time and have a great evening.
Oh, the principal is here. Miss Carmela Hay.
Carmela Haley.
Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for attending and for the wonderful job you're doing with education. To Madison, Brooke, and Brianne, thank you so much for such a wonderful presentation. Fabulous. Moving on to our special order agenda. We have a presentation, a proclamation recognizing Lights On After School. Dr. Gregor?
Yes, Madam Chair, and to the audience, it gives me great pleasure to call upon Ms. Isabella Torbett, Title I specialist, and as she comes forward, I want to just say a personal thanks to all of our after-school providers that are here, and I know you'll be introducing them, but
Yes,
without you, we couldn't make this full day with our parents. Parents truly need us all in partnership, so thank you so much.
Before your presentation, can I just get a clearer motion with a second because I think it was muffled? Okay. Thank you so very much. I'm sorry, it was a little muffled,
No
the vote,
problem.
and I went fast.
Good evening, Madam Chair, distinguished board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. Launched in October 2000, Lights On After School is a national event celebrating after-school programs and the important role they play in the lives of children, families, and communities. The effort has become a hallmark of the after-school movement. So on Thursday this week, October 25th, the 19th annual Lights On After School initiative will again highlight the remarkable work being done by scholars who attend after-school programs. In Pinellas County, we're very, very proud of our scholars, all of our scholars, and their after-school programs. Our district is committed to ensuring that all scholars have access to quality extended learning programs. As a district, we believe learning does not stop when the traditional school day ends. So our scholars are participating in small group tutoring, online digital learning, STEM activities, and enrichment activities before and after the school day and during the summer. Pinellas County has established strong partnerships in support of after-school programs in collaboration with the Pinellas Juvenile Welfare Board, our club Child Care, the YMCA of Greater St. Petersburg, the YMCA Suncoast, and the City of Dunedin. Together, these organizations work with our schools to ensure our scholars have year-round access to educational and enriching activities that build and strengthen connections between the academic portions of the school day and the extended learning programs offered after school. Today, as Dr. Grego said, provides us that perfect opportunity to recognize and thank our partners. With us this evening, we have from the Juvenile Welfare Board of Pinellas County, Ms. Karen Bogus, who is their Performance and Evaluation Manager. Thank you so much, Karen. From the Our Club, Child Care, we have Art O'Hara, its Executive Director. Thank you, Art. From the YMCA Greater St. Petersburg, we have David Jezik, the President and CEO. And with him is Barbara White. She is the Executive Director of Youth Development. From the YMCA Suncoast, we have Scott Goyer, President and CEO. And with him is Beth Gettig, Vice President of Youth Development. And again, we thank you so much for your continued support of our students. Thank you. In preparing the PowerPoint for you this evening that was kind of running behind me there for a while, I wanted to be able to show you some of the highlights of our extended learning programs. While I put it together, I kept thinking of an old Debbie Boone song. It just kind of kept running through my mind. Maybe you will remember it. The refrain went, "You light up my life. You give me hope to carry on. You light up my days and fill my nights with song." Every time I looked at these pictures and I saw the happy, smiling faces of our scholars, I don't know about you, but I see a little light in their eyes. And I know for me, it lights up my life, and it gives me hope. But even more so, I think it emphasizes the importance of providing opportunities for our scholars to explore their talents and their passions, to enable them to make those important connections between what they're learning during the school day with real-world applications, to filling their days and nights with songs of possibility. This October 25th, I invite you to join in celebrating Lights On After School. Let's acknowledge the achievement of our scholars and proclaim our commitment to growing greatness for all of them. Let's continue to keep our lights on and our doors open and help our scholars catch up, keep up, and get ahead. Thank you so much.
We have a proclamation to read for Lights On After School. Whereas the Pinellas County School Board stands firmly committed to quality after-school programs and opportunities because they provide safe, challenging, engaging, and fun learning experiences to help children and youth develop their social, emotional, physical, cultural, and academic skills. Support working families by ensuring their children are safe and productive after the regular school day ends. Build stronger communities by involving our students, parents, business leaders, and adult volunteers in the lives of our young people, thereby promoting positive relationships among children, youth, families, and adults. Engage families, schools, and diverse community partners in advancing the welfare of our children. And whereas all of our community after-school programs provide significant leadership in the area of community involvement in the education and well-being of our youth, grounded in the principle that quality after-school programs are key to helping our children become successful adults. And whereas Lights On After School, a national celebration of after-school programs on October 25th, promotes the critical importance of quality after-school programs in the lives of children, their families, and their communities. And whereas more than 28 million children in the United States have parents who work outside the home, and 15.1 million children have no place to go after school. And whereas many after-school programs across the country are facing funding shortfalls so severe that they're being forced to close their doors and turn off their lights. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Pinellas County School Board urges the citizens of Pinellas County to ensure that every child has access to a safe and caring environment, an engaging place where the lights are on after school. And be it further resolved that the Pinellas County School Board enthusiastically endorses Lights On After School and is committed to quality after-school programs and activities that ensures that the lights stay on and the doors stay open for all of our children after school. Do we have a vote, please? We have a motion with a second. May we have a vote? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you all so very much, and I appreciate that. Please make sure October 25th that you support this cause. We now have some things where we need to go down. So board members, if we could go down, and Dr. Grego will introduce the next 3 items.
Thank you. It is the tradition of this school board to welcome each and every administrator that is appointed and voted on following the vote. And so it gives me great pleasure to introduce 2 administrators. I'll ask as I introduce them to come and be greeted by the board members. And the first administrator is Jody Leichman. Jody is the newly appointed principal of Bowder Elementary School. Jody began her employment in Pinellas County Schools in 2017. She served as assistant principal at Tyrone Middle School from 2017 until she was appointed as principal. Her background also includes serving as a classroom teacher, a school improvement consultant, an assistant principal, and a principal in the state of Ohio. Ms. Leichman earned her bachelor's degree in psychology from Muskegon College and a master's degree in teaching from Miami University and educational administration classes and principalship from Xavier University. Congratulations, Jody. Our next administrator is Eijah Hawthorne, principal at Morgan Fitzgerald Middle School. Eijah began her employment in Pinellas County in 1998. She served as the assistant principal and coordinator of magnet programs at Gibbs High School from 2010 until she was appointed as principal at Morgan Fitzgerald Middle School effective September 12th of 2018. Her background includes serving as a substitute teacher, a classroom teacher at Azalea Middle School, and assistant principal at Bayside High School, and at Azalea Middle School and New Heights Elementary School. Ms. Hawthorne earned her bachelor's degree in English and psychology at William Carey University, a master's degree in ed leadership from the University of South Florida. Eijah, congratulations. Our next presentation is our exchange teacher from Nagano, Japan. It's always a pleasure to introduce Pam Benton, who will, a pre-K through 12 world language specialist, who will introduce our special guest.
Thank you. Clearwater, Florida has been a sister city with Nagano City, Japan since 1959 when Mayor Kurashima of Nagano came to the United States. He was searching for a city with similar economic and community needs and wished to develop new friendships, ideas, and business partnerships. The teacher exchange began in 1983 when Pinellas teachers committed to teaching for 1 academic year in Nagano. Currently, 2 Pinellas teachers spend 1 month in Nagano schools during the summer, and we host a Nagano teacher for 1 month each fall. The teacher and student exchanges have been the backbone of the Sister Cities program. This year, we're pleased to present Mr. Takafumi Yamada from Nagano City, Nagano Prefecture, Japan. Mr. Yamada arrived in Pinellas County on October 15th. He's residing with local residents and visiting and observing in K-12 classrooms until November 12th. Mr. Yamada is a junior high English teacher in Nagano, Japan. He enjoys mountain climbing and photography. He was selected by the Nagano Board of Education to represent their school system this year. We're privileged to host Nagano teachers each year and to have the opportunity to select Pinellas teachers and students annually to visit Nagano during the summer months. I'd like to now offer Mr. Yamada the opportunity to address the board.
So good evening, everyone. So it's my great pleasure to speak to all of you today. And first of all, I really want to say thank you for your kind and warm reception for you or for me. And so my name is Takafumi Yamada, and I've been teaching in Japan for 18 years, and I've been teaching in Nagano for 4 years. And so, I'm really happy to have the chance to visit here because, this is a really great experience to me. And now I'm having really great time here in Clearwater and this county. So my host family took me to many places like Epcot, and maybe last Sunday, we went to the Clearwater Beach. It was really beautiful. And, I've been wanted to go to Clearwater Aquarium, and I wanted to see Winter, the dolphin. It's because, in Japan, we have her story in English textbook. So, yeah, so it was a really great time for me. So now I've been really enjoying the stay here. So, and also, I've been experiencing a lot of things in schools, high schools and middle schools in this county. I taught Japanese calligraphy, and I taught how to use hashi, and I also taught how to make origami art. So, and the students are really great, and I'm really happy to see them. So, yeah, it's really great. So, finally, I really appreciate the board of members and my host families and all the school teachers who gave me the chance to have this experience. And so I heard that Clearwater City and Nagano City have been the sister cities for 60 years next year. So I really hope to see some of you in Nagano next year. So yeah, thank you very much for sparing time for me. Thank you.
You take this picture back with you. Thank you, Ms. Benton. Thank you. Thank you. Our final presentation this evening, board members, is will be the Academies of Distinction Awards. And for those awards, I'm going to call upon none other than Mark Hunt, the Executive Director of Career Technical and Adult Education. Mark?
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. Thank you for having us tonight. The Academies of Pinellas is a system of academies, as you know, in our high schools and middle schools. They're dedicated to the relevance of instruction for not only career instruction, but their academics. And it helps students refine their career goals and enjoy academic success. The academies are guided by nationally recognized standards, and these standards are included in a rubric of 11 elements of academy operation and help us guide these to exemplary implementation. Our partners with the Pinellas Education Foundation, the Career Education Board, which members are here tonight helping us celebrate, they visit all of our schools twice a year and talk with principals and review the standing on the rubric for each and every academy. And the goal is for academies to progress with their implementation from initial implementation to exemplary implementation in all 11 areas of that rubric. The schools that have achieved exemplary implementation are recognized as Academies of Distinction. Now, they have to be nominated by Career Ed board members after a visit, and once they're nominated, then the schools have to provide their actual documentation of their exemplary implementation. And tonight with us are exemplary implementation academies that have done all the hard work and have sweated all the sweat to get to this point. And they join the elite fraternity of Academies of Distinction. Now, just for effect, I'd like for all of the principals, assistant principals, parents, students, and teachers that are here tonight and our Career Ed board members to stand that are with the academies. Just stand for a minute and be recognized for just 1 second. As you can see, we have a very, very good-looking group. Now, right now, I'd like to welcome Bob McIntyre, who is the co-chair of the Career Education Board, to come and introduce the academies. And when he introduces an academy, I'd like for members of that academy, their principal, and anyone else with that academy to come to the front and have a picture.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the school board, Dr. Grego, staff, and guests, it is always a pleasure to be here with you. And before getting started, I've got to tell you that Joe Baker and I had the honor of having lunch with Gus Stavros last week. Besides his upset with the Rays not being in the World Series, he was in great spirits, and we talked about, he was really on. He was really excited about the things going on, and he understood he's a little slower than he was a few years ago, but he passes on his best wishes to all of you. This evening, I am speaking on behalf of the Stavros Career Education Board, a group comprised of industry leaders, post-secondary educators, and government leaders from Pinellas County, along with key individuals from the education and workforce sectors. The Stavros Career Education Board was established by the superintendent and is funded through the Pinellas Education Foundation. Its main purpose is to advocate for career education opportunities for students in Pinellas County schools, as well as to help support Academies of Pinellas programs in our high schools, which supports the Foundation's mission of accelerating educational achievement for all students through the effective mobilization of innovation, relationships, and resources. A sincere thank you to all the members of the school board for allowing me to speak to you today on behalf of the Stavros Career Education Board. I'd like to acknowledge some of the committee members that are here with us today, and they've already stood up, but they do it again. First, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Grego, who has supported us so heavily in this endeavor, and thank you so much, Dr. Grego. We have Mark Hunt, Brad Kugler, Dr. Alex McKenna, Donna Burns from the Education Foundation, Monty Trammer, Amy Reddick, Joe Baker, and Glenn Gifford with us today. Thank you all so much for everything you're doing for this. We would really be remiss if we didn't pay respect and acknowledge one Stavros Career Education Board member in particular, Ms. Linda Lerner. She has been a stalwart supporter of career education since its inception over 10 years ago. We have valued her leadership, her friendship, and look forward to her continued service even after she retires from the Pinellas County School Board. On behalf of my colleagues, I am pleased to recognize 15 Academy programs which have been nominated as Academies of Distinction. Academies of Distinction provide students with 21st century industry-based education that leads to the acquisition of specific demonstrated skill set leading to employment or continuing education. During the site visits that took place last spring, the Stavros Career Education Board visiting teams were impressed by each of these programs. Implementation of categories across a comprehensive scoring rubric. The rubric is very, very specific, and we follow it word for word, line for line. The rubric measures the strength of each academy's business and post-secondary partnerships. curriculum integration, work-based learning opportunities, personal student advisement, industry certification achievement, cohort scheduling, alignment with high pay, high demand careers, and appropriate certifications achieved by program instructors. These standards are modeled after the National Career Academy Coalition's national standards of practice for career academies. The Stavros Career Education Board, working closely with the district's Career Technical Adult Education Department, select Academy of Distinction programs for a 2-year term, after which the programs may be reconsidered for another term. And now it is my pleasure to announce these outstanding academies. Some of these programs are renewing their status as Academies of Distinction, while others are earning the accolade for the first time. As I announce these programs, I invite the principal to collect a special Academy of Distinction banner. The Stavros Education Board would like to present in recognition of this honor. And I would also ask you to remain for some photos with the principal, lead teachers, and Stavros Career Education Board members after the announcement. And Dr. Grego, could I ask you to maybe come down and be in this picture since you were the leader? Would you mind joining us on the stage? So in case anything goes wrong with this, I can say there's... First, congratulations to Principal Mike Vigu and Boca Ciega High School Center for Wellness and Medical Profession for its renewed recognition as an Academy of Distinction, and to Boca Ciega's JROTC Army program for its first-time recognition as an Academy of Distinction. Alex, look at the camera. Thank you. Good job. Thank you. Mhm. Congratulations to Principal Keith Masteritis and Clearwater High School for recognition of all 4 of its academies as Academies of Distinction. The Academy of Business Leadership and International Studies, BLISS, which includes the Career Academy for International Culture and Commerce, hey Keith, and ROTC, renews its recognition. Clearwater's 3 other academies are being recognized as Academies of Distinction for the first time. Academy of Fine Arts and Media, FAME, Academy of Sports, Hospitality, and Recreational Education, SHARE, Academy of Science, Technology, Engineering, and Aeronautics and Mathematics, STEAM. You know, education has all these acronyms. You know, they can't say one thing without having all the... I had to look what that word was, acronyms, right? Congratulations. Thank you. Good job. Congratulations to Principal Gerald Slorette and Countryside High School for first-time recognition of his iSTEM Academy as an Academy of Distinction. Is that Renee on her tiptoes? Congratulations to Principal Carmela Haley and Eastlake High School for renewed recognition of Academy of Business Careers and as Academy of Distinction. Congratulations to Principal Michael Hernandez in Northeast High School, as two of its programs are recognized as Academies of Distinction. Northeast Academy of Finance renews its honor as Academy of Culinary Arts, is a first-time Academy of Distinction Award winner. You're going to have to get in the back of the room. Congratulations. I'm wondering if the culinary bought any donuts or anything with them. Congratulations to Principal Michael Bonet in Osceola Fundamentals High School for first-time recognition of his Center for Culinary Arts as an Academy of Distinction. Mike, if Alex would have stood there, I'd have saved that picture for 100 years, I'll tell you right now. Congratulations to Principal Christian Gonzalez and Palm Harbor University High for for renewed recognition of its Center for Wellness and Medical Professions as an Academy of Distinction. Good. Congratulations to Principal Brett Patterson and Pinellas Park High School for renewed recognition of its Criminal Justice Academy as an Academy of Distinction. Congratulations to Principal Jane Lucas and Seminole High School for its first-time recognition of its Academy of E-Commerce as an Academy of Distinction. And finally, congratulations to Principal Lisa Vadalides and Tarpon Springs High School for renewed recognition of its Jacobson Culinary Arts Academy as an Academy of Distinction. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Renee. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are wonderful. He's great. He's doing great.
For everything that you do.
It is truly an honor to acknowledge and appreciate these 15 programs this evening. I want to thank the principals, teachers, and administrators for their incredible efforts in creating and maintaining these Career Academy programs with the highest standards to benefit our students. And you know, when you think about renewing this after 2 years, it's just as hard to renew as it is to maintain to get a new one. And I'd like to thank the people in the row here, all you guys that have given your time and showed up at the meetings for the school visits, and all the support of the school board and our superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you all so very much. That was well worth the time, making sure that we can recognize all of the wonderful things that are going on in our district. Moving on to public comments on agenda items. Ms. Simonetti?
Board members and Dr. Grego, we have 2 speakers this evening for specific agenda items. Mark Clutho on consent number 11, 15, 16, 18, and non-consent number 1, and Darden Rice for consent number 12.
Mark Lutho, Largo. Number 11, you're going to the All Children's Hospital. You didn't see in the news about the big screw up down there at that hospital? Oh boy, what a mess. Not to mention the fact that they have a new building that's a monument to ignorance. What a shame. 5,698,861. And belching the carbon. Oh, man. And the strategic direction? Learning in a safe environment? How can it be? And then 16, substantial completion for permanent wall renovation. What happened? You didn't get that one right? I'll bet the fix isn't right either. 18, chiller replacement. But how stupid is the building? The building's not been fixed, has it? No. No. And so here's the headline from Sunday. Toughen Florida's building code. More on that later. And then request approval for submittal of the 2018 Florida Safe Schools Assessment. Well, again, toughen Florida's building code. Now, why are they saying that? Hurricane Michael. Yeah. Just think if that hurricane would have turned and hit here. Are the schools safe? I don't think so. But more to say about that in just a little while.
Good evening, Honorable Madam Chair, Renee Flowers, esteemed member of the Board of Commissioners, Dr. Grego, and staff. I am St. Pete City Council member Darden Rice. Normally, I would wear professional attire and a jacket when addressing you, but because I'm speaking to consent item 12 and the community garden, I thought it was appropriate if I wear the official city shirt for the Green Thumb Festival, just to show you how excited we are. This is something that we have worked on for quite a while. We're very excited about it. I would like to thank Clinton Hebrick, Charlene Bear from the Pinellas County School Board System, and on the St. Pete side, Susie Aijah, who is our Neighborhood Services Director, was really our most valuable player on the city side, and she is here in the audience with us tonight. Lynch Elementary is nestled in the neighborhood of Meadowlawn, and Meadowlawn has been very engaged in this project and has really done a great job with public engagement and working with people with input and design for the project. They would be here tonight, but those little worker bees have a neighborhood association meeting tonight, so they are waiting for me to text them after the vote is done. Interesting thing, Madam Chair, on the city side, the funds used to pay for the construction and maintenance of the community garden comes from the Wikiwachi Fund, which I believe is a fund that you created when you were on council many years ago. So thank you. It's coming full circle in a really neat way. Well, when we get it all done, we will certainly invite you to our ribbon cutting, or I don't know, carrot cutting, or whatever it is we decide to do. But our city and our neighborhoods, thank you, and thank you for your partnership. It wouldn't be possible without you, so thanks a lot. Good.
Moving on to our unfinished business, public hearing to consider the amendment to policy 2250 for fundamental schools and magnet programs and career academies.
Second.
Motion with the second. Dr. Grego, please.
Yes, Madam Chair and school board members, I'm going to ask Mr. Bill Lawrence and Ms. Ellen Truskowski to just review, and for the public's information, this board reviewed this policy and many of the changes and revisions we're making to it in a very lengthy workshop a week ago. So, Mr. Lawrence, if you could start us off.
Thank you very much, Dr. Grego. Good evening, Chairwoman Flowers, board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. This is the second reading of the annual policy update to the District Application Program, or DAP, procedures. We did review the original changes back at a workshop in August, and there have been some minor changes since the first reading in September, including the item that Dr. Grego mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, to expand not only to fundamental students the opportunity to participate in extracurricular activities at their zone school, but also include all of the district application program types, including the magnets and the high school career programs that were so wonderfully just recognized, or many of them anyway. I once again want to introduce you to Ms. Truskowski and thank her again for all of her work in helping to revise this year's procedures and to gather a lot of stakeholder input from our schools and our parents and our administrators to try and make the document more readable and user-friendly, and we've done that again. The other changes since the first reading is we have added the Richard O. Jacobson Technical High School at Seminole, the name of which you approved at our last board meeting. So we did everything in the right order. Isn't that wonderful? And then, of course, we also wanted to clarify that with the new Conservatory of the Arts program opening at Sandy Lane in 1920, that students at Perkins will be able to remain there through the 5th grade, and will continue to transport them. And the same with the opening of the brand new program in the Center for Gifted Arts in the North County at the former Palm Harbor Elementary School, and the students at Ridgecrest that are there now can continue on through the 5th grade, and we'll transport them. So, Ms. Truskowski, I hear if you have any other questions, we'd be happy to address them.
No. Do we have any speakers on this item, Ms. Simonetti? No speakers? We have a motion with a second. Linda, Ms. Lerner.
Just a comment. I want to thank Mr. Lawrence and Ms. Truskowski. I can remember years ago trying to understand the policy and having a very difficult time. I can assure you this is much more user-friendly and understandable. So thank you. Thanks for all your hard work.
Thank you. Any other comments? There's a motion with a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you so very much for your hard work. Moving forward with our consent agenda, do we have a motion with a second?
Approval.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Just a comment. First of all, thank you so much to our very esteemed St. Petersburg City Council member, Ms. Darden Rice, for your hard work. I know there were a number of conversations back and forth regarding the community garden before that. I thought I also saw Leah McCrae. Oh, okay. Leah McCrae and Ms. Susie Eijah are there in the corner. So thank you also very much for the work that you do. Leah in the realm of education within the community, and Ms. Susie Eijah, I met her in 1993 at a neighborhood association meeting, and she's been working with communities ever since then. I know she's going to be upset about me giving that year. And I also just want to share, just for the viewing audience, that when we had our food and nutrition presentation, they definitely are working towards making sure that our children are participating in that. But I had a chance to speak at their conference, and they talked about the number of gardening projects that they have, and I know it's 20 plus. So I think everything is going right in line to make sure that our students understand what fresh fruits and vegetables are and the nutrition that they provide for you. And those community gardens sometimes provide those things to families so that they can have additional foods and treats. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming, and thank you to everyone that came along with you to support the effort. All right, so we are down to our non-consent agenda items. Request approval for the submittal of the 2018 Florida Safe School Self-Assessment. Do I have a motion with a second?
Approval.
There's a second. Do we have a presentation?
I have a few comments from Mr. Herbeck for the 2018 Florida Schools Self-Assessment. Mr. Herbeck.
Thank you, Dr. Grego, Madam Chair, board members, staff. As you know, we presented the Florida Safe Schools Assessment Tool to you at the workshop last week. It is a confidential document, and I want to make sure that we share that with the public as well. It's why it's not included in the book. The document itself includes results from our building assessments that we conducted this past summer with law enforcement. It also includes reviews from different departments around the district concerning both the health and safety processes and procedures that we have in place across the district. There have been no changes to the document that we supplied you with last week, so with your approval tonight, we will go ahead and submit that to the Department of Education, and we will meet the November 1st, or December 1st, I'm sorry, deadline. Thank you.
Are there any questions by school board members? We have a motion with a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to the request of the approval for the 2019-2020 instructional calendar. Is there a motion with a second? Dr. Grego, presentation, please.
Yes, board members, this is the 2019-20. As I mentioned to you at the board workshop, it's hard to believe that we're planning for the year 2020, but I would call upon Ms. Paula Texel and Mr. Dave Richmond, who they have headed up this committee, and this committee is vast. I hope you can share with the board members and the general public all that goes into making up an instructional calendar. I always want to emphasize that word instructional because this calendar is first to serve the students of this district.
Absolutely. Well, good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. And first and foremost, I will introduce once again Dave Richmond from our payroll department. He is my co-chair on this very, very important, I consider it a very, very important committee as we do, as Dr. Grego mentioned, as we craft our student and instructional calendars each and every year. And yes, we are here to present the 2019-2020 instructional calendar and special observance days. So a committee is formed, and we meet several times. Ms. Krasner is our school board representative. We have representation from our school board, from our parents, from our community, PCTA, PESPA, our teaching force. Students actually serve on our committee as well, give us great input and feedback as well. We did meet on 2 separate occasions with a lot of email as well, going back and forth with input provided. The members solicited feedback from their respective groups and brought that feedback back to the committee as we put together the calendar for 1920.
Just a couple of highlights for 1920 calendar. We have a school start date for instructional staff on Monday, August 5th, 2019, and for students on Wednesday, August 14th, 2019. We will continue with the 7 days of pre-planning for our 10-month teachers. I've repeated this time and time at the past couple of years that this input has come back from the schools and the teachers that this is very important, a way for them to be very prepared for that first day of school. So the committee did recommend that as well. We have our semesters of instruction pretty much being even, 86 the first semester with 94 the second semester. And again, feedback has come back that we provide exams prior to the winter break for our secondary students, so we are able to continue with that. And every year we work diligently on providing hurricane makeup days. I don't think we have to worry about that this year, thank goodness. But we do have those 4-day options in the calendar again, as we did last year. And those are October 14th of 2019, January 6th, 2020, March 23rd, 2020, and November or 25th and or the 26th of 2019. We do have a Thanksgiving break from Saturday, November 23rd through Sunday, December 1st. You'll see the winter break also running from Saturday, December 21st with instructional staff, 10-month instructional staff returning on Monday, January 6th, 2020, and students returning on Tuesday, January 7th. We have our spring break going that year from March 14th through March 22nd. We have a school ending date for students on Friday, May 29th, 2020, and for 10-month instructional staff, final day of Monday, June 1st, 2020. I wanted to just point out that the committee felt very strongly that we provide our students as many days possible in the month of May to complete their required testing. And so we had a lot of discussion back and forth amongst the committee. And I will tell you, it was pretty much unanimous that we provide our students with the most potential days to complete that necessary testing. And so this will allow us to make sure that takes place. We already know the families are asking for this calendar. I had the first call on the first day of school this year. So we are very glad to be able to bring this to you at this time and to thank you for your consideration of this request.
Do we have any questions? Okay. Put your thing.
I just wanted to make sure everybody knows to check our website too, that it will be up. I'm sure very soon
Yes,
if it's
as
not
soon as
already.
approval, we will have it up, yes. Tomorrow. Dave says tomorrow, we'll get it up.
Okay, so we have a motion with a second, and we have no additional comments by school board members. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to number 3, request adoption of the proposed Greater Florida Consortium of School Boards. There's a motion. Is there a second? Second. Dr. Grego, presentation, please.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I want to praise this board because this board is a member of the consortium of school boards. And the organizations, or well, I should say the school boards or school districts that participate in this is Broward County, Charlotte, Collier, Lee, Miami-Dade, Martin, Monroe, Pinellas, Sarasota, and St. Lucie. So this is a legislative platform that all of those districts have approved, or at least are in the process of approving. This legislative platform is before you this evening to ensure that this board approves each and every one of those. As you know, the rules of this consortium is that if this board would like to extract one of these, or you're not in favor of one, then it's removed from the platform. So that's the reason why this is here, and I know that Ms. Flowers and Ms. Cook have been instrumental in meeting with this consortium, and so I place this for your consideration and really for this board's vote to concur with the rest of the districts that you belong to.
I just want to give some brief comments just for the public viewing so they'll have information. I had an opportunity to attend the meeting that was held to finalize the agenda that will be put forth to the legislators once the session starts. And we've even been asked right now to go ahead and try to communicate as soon as you can with your legislators so that they'll know what we're talking about. Of course, we continue to say that we want to see an increase in the base student allocation, because I think across all 67 counties, we certainly have a need for that when we look at even where our funding sources and resources were in 2007, when we did have some issues and concerns just across the state and across the nation, and now where we are financially, that we should be able to move steadily in that direction of enhancing our base student allocation. We all agreed on giving the school boards the opportunity to raise the millage that they would like to put forth, so it helps to fund public education so that we can do some of the things that we so desperately need to do. So that certainly was something that was talked about. One of the things that I shared in the workshop was, of course, a presentation related to school safety. Everyone is looking at how we're adjusting our plans. Of course, when we were given the mandate to make sure that we were providing additional officers in all of our schools, we came together, those of us in our various districts, and we talked about ways that we could make that happen. And of course, over time, we've made those adjustments based on what we see the needs are and how we want to handle that. And I think Pinellas County really has taken the lead, in my opinion, not downing anyone else, but we've taken the lead as it relates to making sure that we're providing just the right amount of support and security throughout our schools, and then continuing to reevaluate those things so that our students, our staff, as well as our community knows that our children are safe during the time with us. So as Dr. Grego said, if any specific district strikes out anything or does not agree, it's taken off of the platform as a whole. I'm very thankful for each of my colleagues for reviewing the information and in the workshop agreeing that the things that we've placed on the legislative agenda for the consortium are things that should move forward, that we advocate for. I want to thank my colleague, Ms. Eileen, School Board Member Eileen Long. She's been kind of holding on steadfast and asking questions, so I thank you for that. She'll be attending some different things with me going forward, but thank you all for your support. Thank you, Carol and Peggy, for allowing me to step in and get a feel and an understanding of how they operate. So thank you all so very much for that as well. So we have a motion with a second as it relates to this item. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And number 4, request adoption of the proposed Pinellas County School Board's 2019 legislative program. Do we have a motion with a second? Move approval. There's a motion and a second. Dr. Grego, presentation, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and congratulations to the school board members who really worked hard through a series of workshops that we one is a greater consortium that you heard about 9 or 10 school districts, but this is ours. I mean, this is Pinellas County. And if I may, Madam Chair, just go through a couple of the highlights of this, and so the public knows what this board is focusing in on and what I will be working with you in partnership during this upcoming committee work and session. So we've broken this up into 4 distinct areas. First, keeping students first, sufficiently and substantially funding schools to meet the educational needs of students. Second, keeping students and families in schools safe. Third, keeping the adult learners engaged. Basically, this supports our technical colleges. And then fourth is to keep students in world-class facilities. So the first category, our major concern is the increase in teacher salaries, increasing teacher salaries so that it's meaningful and it's a manner in which we'll continue to attract teachers, not only to attract them, but also retain teachers into Pinellas County. The second part of that, though, is, as Ms. Flowers mentioned, is the increase in the general operating dollars, the base student allocation. These are dollars, as Mr. Smith will tell you, these are dollars that are going to help us curb inflation and also keep us competitive with neighboring districts and really place our teacher salaries, administrative salaries, support staff salaries where they need to be. The third item in that category is the support, as you saw demonstrated today, of career and technical education, and to ensure that the focus continues on not only career technical education, but the funding of apprenticeships and internship programs that we so desperately need. The next item in that funding is the calculation of the required local effort, the millage rate to capture the increase in the appraised values of our property, that we as a school district realize that. And that's the way it was, and that's the way it is meant to be, designed to be with the FEFP, but it has not been for the last 2 years, and we need to get that required local effort back to where it needs to be. The next that this board is set up is to authorize the millage rate. This board and our community has voted 4 times consecutively for the referendum, and the request would be that when a district and what a county votes consecutively in favor of that, we're able to extend that from 4 years to 10 years, so we're not going out so frequently. Restore the millage from back up to from where we are now, from 1.5 mils to 2 mils, and this relates to the world-class facility aspect of it. We have other parts of the funding about plant surveys and things like that that we're asking for some greater flexibility so that we can decide at the local level what we want to build, what we want to renovate, and where we feel like we need the student stations. Ms. Flowers already commented about the safety aspects of keeping students and families in schools safe, and I'll just encapsulate that into the mental health, substance abuse, the funding around the supportive and student services. The Safe Schools allocation needs to be placed at a level that we now see what it takes to fund the school security officers and school resource officers. So we ought to go into this session understanding it, not inflating it, not deflating it, but with a realistic picture of what it's costing school districts. And lastly, the adult learner. Our technical colleges, the workforce education has done such a great job, but we need the funding to expand those programs. As you know, and when you go over to Clearwater campus technical college, we're putting about $19 million into renovation. We need funding from the state to expand needed programs. And so I want to thank the board for focusing in on those. That was a very brief summary of that. This also will be on our website, but also will be, I am beginning to meet with our elected officials, especially after Election Day. I will know who all, but I met with Representative Diamond today, and we went through this, and also some other aspects of things that he is interested in doing. So it's that dialogue that we need to open up constantly and consistently along the way. So thank you, board members, for your work. I know Ms. Cook is the one that worked hand in hand with us putting this together, bringing it back, and has been the board's spokesperson in terms of the legislative platform for Pinellas County Schools.
Ms. Cook, do you have anything you want to add to?
There's nothing left to add.
Okay.
You got it all covered.
All
Very,
right.
Very nice job.
Thank you.
All right. So if we've had a motion with a second, so we need to go ahead and vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Thank you so very much. And during the Florida School Board Association meeting, the initial day for the legislative committee meeting, School Board Member Eileen Long and I will be attending that meeting, so we will certainly take our platform information to share, even though we've already had our statewide workshop and set forth those things that we wanted to advocate for, and we made that presentation already here before the board. So great job, and I think we're doing wonderful, and I look forward to an energetic time in Tallahassee.
Thank you, Ms. Long.
You're welcome. Thank you. Moving on to our new business items introduced by the superintendent.
Madam Chair and school board members, I want to report out that I was so grateful to attend this afternoon a committee, the status of black men in St. Petersburg, and I want to just thank the city of St. Petersburg, Gypsy Gallardo, and many others. It was the 2020 plan, and the dialogue was so fruitful and so meaningful that we committed to each other and I committed this board in our district to continue on the work of this important work of increasing graduation rates, but also to spark the economic development in St. Petersburg to help families. And so I will continue in our next workshop, brief you on some of the message, certainly share Gypsy Gallardo's PowerPoint presentation and some of the rich dialogue. I was very fortunate to serve on that panel and to provide, along with some great people, just to work to solve some of the issues and challenges, but also, you know, also celebrate the progress that we've been making collectively in all arenas. And that was what was so great about this panel. And we spent about a couple of hours together down at Midtown. And to just say thank you publicly for the gathering of some really sound people in trying to improve our community. I also want to share and thank the city of St. Petersburg for the community gardens, and that was talked about in item number 12. I'm very pleased of the partnership that we have with the city of St. Petersburg. Also want to say thank you to the board members and everyone else who participated in the Certificate of Distinction that we had the ceremony last week. We had about 100 support employees, who earned level 1 and level 2, and it takes, as was mentioned that evening, a tremendous amount of commitment of 65 hours for level 1, 150 hours of commitment for level 2, and just thank all of those in professional development that participated in this. You know, we gave out awards today on the Academies of Distinction, but Clearwater also wasn't recognized, but I'll recognize them, as was awarded the Jeffrey Steen Award next month at the National Career Academy Coalition. So not only is our foundation recognizing many of the academies, but national organizations are recognizing the work that we're doing in our school district. On a teaching front, I'm so pleased, and I always want to bring to you when our teachers are recognized statewide. We have tremendous teachers in our district. Boca Ciega High School teacher won the statewide ESE Rookie Teacher of the Year. That's Matthew Clark. Physical education teachers win state awards. 3 educators won state award. Chantella Moore from Lakewood High School, Corey Moore from Lakewood High School, and Joby Oberer from Nina Harris ESE Center. So congratulations to them. Whenever our teachers are recognized, not only in our district, but statewide, it's so appreciative. I was fortunate to be able to present to all of the art educators this past week in St. Pete, and Sue Castleman was there, and I want to thank her, and certainly evident of her leadership statewide. Sue does a tremendous job of leading our arts education program. But we also had our students recognized, Alexandra Cheney from Eastlake High School, and also Kate Kennedy from Osceola Fundamental High School were recognized at that gathering. I thank the art educators for being here in St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg is a very rich, art-rich environment, and they thoroughly enjoyed their stay here. I got one more item before I lose my voice, so that'll be good. Wanted you to mark your calendars, as was brought up about our choice program. November 1st, Thursday at Gibbs High School, Saturday, November 3rd. And don't worry, because all this information is on our website. And our website, our parents, as I have parent cadre meetings, they're so thankful for our website. But November 1st at Gibbs from 6 to 8. Saturday, November 3rd, 9 a.m. to noon at Largo High School. And then Thursday, November 8th, from 6 to 8 at Dunedin High School. And then we're also going to have Discovery Nights, which will be held from October 29th through December 21st. And those are all listed on our website. So thank you, Madam Chair, for the time to give you an update. Thank you so much.
You are so
Can I mention one more thing I
Yes.
forgot? I want to thank Mr. Herbick and his crew. This past week, really, it's been almost 2 weeks since Hurricane Michael was mentioned before, and so we are on daily communications. I am with some fellow superintendents, especially in the Panhandle, and I want to thank Clint and others. We've said to them at the time that we have about 10 individuals who we can gather up when it is that we can help. I think sometimes we forget they are still without power, and for many of those rural areas, they will be without power for many weeks, not days, but weeks. And we know what that felt last year, perhaps when we didn't have power for days, and some of them are not going to be able to get back into school for almost a month. So thank you for extending yourselves, and we have a crew of 10 that's ready to go up into the appropriate place. It may be Clay or Bay County, but a district we're working with the superintendent. So we also, as part of FADS, we have a GoFundMe page to raise some money for the schools, and all of our school districts and superintendents and so forth are working with that. So it's GoFundMe/FADS, FADSS, and you'll see Hurricane Michael. And anything we can do, the superintendents and communities are so appreciative of the outreach and kind hearts that the rest of the state's providing. So thank you very much. That's it.
Okay. Items introduced by School Board Attorney.
No report today, thank you.
No report. Items introduced by board members. Ms. Lentino?
Yes. It's been a busy couple of weeks for me here, and I
finally started visiting the Thurgood Marshall Middle School with a parent engagement opportunity that I had. We had lots of community-minded people that were having booths set up to help parents engage their children in learning about reading, writing, math, and other mental issues, and how to distribute some of these information about writing and how to express their feelings and how to read, and lots of other ideas that were very instrumental, I think, for parents to help their children. We didn't have a big turnout, but it was important to have the turnout because I'm sure we would have been criticized if we didn't have one. The Certificate of Distinction on Monday night was very well received. I was very proud to be there, and I was sitting next to Paula Texel, and it was an enjoyable evening. The place was full, and the food was very good, actually. Another part of that was the students' rights and responsibilities, where we had here in this room, all the kids from the Rights and Responsibilities Committee were here. They had very engaging questions. And one of the parts that I was really committed to, being a former first grade teacher at Gulfport Elementary School, the STEM program. We now have STEM academies in all our elementary schools. And by having the STEM academies in our elementary schools, that gives our children an opportunity to be engaged in something and to be focused in something that they would maybe aspire to. I think it's very critical because when children are at that age, getting a handle on something that they're really interested in, something introduced by the STEM program, they're not lost when they get to middle school. So I think that's a good responsibility that the school board does by providing those activities, those STEM activities. I attended the St. Pete Free Clinic luncheon last week, and that was right after I was helping the Happy Workers pre-K class down on 19th Street South. I feel it's very important for me to make a commitment to be there every Friday for 3 hours to help those children that need the help the most. And I firmly believe that if we don't start helping the pre-K, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade children, we will never be able to close the achievement gap as much as we would like to be able to close the achievement gap. I'm really committed to that, and I'm going to be working and every Wednesday at Gulfport Elementary School by having the kindergarten children identify the letter sounds. We have numerous children in the Montessori and the traditional classrooms in the Gulfport Elementary School that do not know how to verbalize a letter sound. So I'm going to be working in that classroom during the magic hour, which is 8:50 to 9:50 in the morning on Wednesdays. I also participated in Marine Quest on Saturday from 12 to 2. It was a great opportunity. Actually, the art director from the Thurgood Marshall Middle School shared with me the book that the St. Petersburg Public Works Department has put out every year. And the children in that Thurgood Marshall Middle School, they always participate in the coloring book. And they contribute the lessons and they contribute the illustrations in those books. And those books are a great tie-in for what we can do to help support the St. Petersburg Public Works Department. I think that's a real good opportunity to show that we're working well together. Lynch Elementary School, we've been working on that a really long time. I'm not really sure where the glitch was, but finally we've got the garden going to be started in the Lynch Elementary School, in the Lynch Elementary School. I sent Principal Kidd an email this morning to let her know that it was on the agenda, and we're going to go full speed ahead, and I'm sure she's going to be very happy to hear that. Today I also visited school, and at school, that's one of our 25 maybe kind of sort of struggling schools, and the principal addressed and told me that they do take the children from the CASA domestic violence organization. The children that go to CASA, that are there, and those that are housed in the residency, those children don't stay with the family or the mother. Those children go to the school, and sometimes they stay for a week, sometimes they stay for a month. It all depends on what the criteria is when they get to the school. It's a very worthwhile effort, and I'm very pleased to hear that the CASA organization has the children at school. What else was on my agenda today? The CASA Peace Breakfast. That was wonderful. We had one of our policemen from St. Petersburg Police Force, Officer Gilliam, I believe his name was, and he shared a very meaningful and a thoughtful and a provoking opportunity that he experienced when he was a small child. And he found the opportunity to turn his life around, and he's a very successful police officer in St. Petersburg Police Force today. We need to hear those stories. We need to hear those stories about the women that have received terrible abuse, and the ones that don't get their stories heard of are the ones that are much more numerous than the 8 that we hear of in a year. So if you are ever aware of a student or an adult or anybody in your neighborhood, your family, friends, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. You've got to reach out to these people, and you've got to ask them if they need any help. And then the rest is up to them. There's a number that they can call at CASA, and I'm sure that number should be, used regularly, and hopefully that these people will get the help that they need. So that's about all that I've wanted to say for this week, and it's been a privilege to serve the community and Pinellas County Schools.
Ms. Lerner?
We have many, and I'll use the word awesome, collaborative partners that we work with in the district, and under Dr. Grego's leadership, it's increased. You can see the foundation, the wonderful collaboration we have in many aspects of what they do and the district does. And yes, it is awesome how our career technical programs have just increased. I've talked about this before, but I'm not going to have much chance from the board table later. But in the 1990s, you weren't supposed to talk about vocational education. We've come a long way. And Dr. Grego, your leadership has certainly been extremely helpful. And as board members visit schools, we see some of our at-risk students. They may be homeless, they may be in shelters, they may be in the CASA shelter, all kinds of challenges. And not only do we get to see the wonderful educators and programs, but we also learn that in every school there are students that are and families putting up with many challenges. Just a couple of things. I know Dr. Grego and staff worked with Mike Gandalfo and Nellie Henyas, PCTA and PESPA for the SPOT survey. And we did have it presented at our workshop last week. And I'm not going to read everything related to it. Now, if I can get it back on my iPad. Okay. There were 3,952 responses, and these were all from school-based. The responses from Walter Pinnell in the administration building are being tabulated, but this was all school-based. There were 155 administrators, 2,925 instructional, support 872. And just quickly, for those of you who did not see the survey, the 4 questions were: I feel valued by my administration, collaboration among staff is expected and valued, I am motivated to contribute more than what is expected of me, I feel safe at school, and my school has clear expectations for student behavior. And it is something I know the area superintendents and others will look at. It's very transparent. The board got not only the district average, but every single school. And if you just take one, and I'm not going to go over the whole thing, although we did talk about it, the first one, I feel valued by administration. If you look at the average of all the responses from school-based, 71% agreed, strongly agree or agree, 14% were neutral, and 15% disagreed strongly or simply disagree. And, you know, it's something for everyone to look at, that an administrator may look and see, you know, 70 or 80% agree, but what about those few that don't? I am confident this is going to be used effectively, and I know it'll continue, so thanks for the collaboration. We've talked about it a long time. Just one other thing. This came to my attention, maybe some of you read about it. I continue to be astounded at some of the things our state does. We know the HOPE scholarship, which is for students who are harassed, bullied, that they can go to what's called a school of hope. I won't go into all of that. But what came out, at least it came out in a few news releases. This was from WUSF Radio on October 15th. Of the schools that apply to be schools of hope for students who are bullied, harassed, I'm not making light of that, but okay, we know about that whole scholarship. At least 20% of the schools had specific rules regarding whether or not students were allowed to sport dreadlocks, afros, braids, things that African American children are more likely to wear. So many people feel like there are distinct racial overtones in these policies. The next one, it's not an overtone, it's clear. I found, and this was done by journalists, it is the real news. I found that schools who had signed up in August to be a school of hope, around 10% of them had policies that specifically stated in their handbook that you would not be allowed to attend if you were an LGBTQ student. And those are our students who often are most at risk, even though we've made so much progress for depression and suicide attempts. And this was a response from the Department of Education. I just have to read it word for word. The reporter journalist reached out to the Department of Education about those two areas. Quote, the Florida Department of Education stands by the idea that this program is inclusive, that it's designed to protect students who have had difficulty in public schools because of bullying. She said, and they note that this program is voluntary. You don't have to participate in it if you don't want to. So if a student feels uncomfortable, they can go somewhere else. Apparently, if you have dreadlocks or you're an LGBTQ student, obviously, it's not even a matter of feeling uncomfortable. I'll just leave you with that. It just continues to surprise me. And I'm so happy that we have Dr. Grego and staff and so many board members, the leadership of so many on this board to advocate on the state level and federal level, but it's really the state level. Everybody vote. Who we elect to office makes a difference. You all know that. So anyway, let's get everyone out to vote. Who are going to vote the way we want? Okay, thanks.
Ms. Long.
I won't talk anymore.
Ms. Long.
You're a hard act to follow, Ms. Leonard.
The others can stay home.
One of the community agencies that I'm really fond of is Peace for Tarpon. They work with domestic violence, and this month is I'm going to read this so I don't get it wrong. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Prevention Month. This Friday up at the City Hall in Tarpon Springs, Peace for Tarpon will be talking. Every minute, 20 people are victims of intimate partner violence. As a teacher of ESE and dropout prevention, I can tell you its effects when children see it or are a victim of it are forever lasting. It affects their performance in school. Usually when they get to middle school, that's when the effects really start showing. This Friday, they are requesting, as many of us, if we get up and remember, to wear purple, to make people aware of what a serious problem this is and how it impacts every single one of us. Even if you don't know someone that was a victim, if you teach, you've got a victim in your classroom. So think about it. If you think about it, wear purple, and let's support. Thank you.
You're welcome. I just have 3 things. The first is I want to give a shout out to Sue Castleman, and I'm going to probably say it wrong, Nagami Yoki in the arts department for working with some of the schools to lend some art to put up in the Manhattan Casino and the Callaloo restaurant. And they're going to be interchanging that art out so that students' art will be on display as people are coming into the restaurant or going upstairs for different events. So I want to say thank you to them. And I also want to say kudos to Distant Academy today. That's one of our schools that has students that have some challenges, but they make it through, they work it through. And they had a career day today, just talking about what will be your next step. So I want to say congrats on that. For Miss Linda Lerner's item, thank you so very much for bringing that up as it relates to some of the overt and covert discriminatory practices in some of the schools. And as I shared with you, I promised and I did contact the Florida School Board Association's Ruth Melton and asked her, can she make sure that that's on the agenda for discussion in November, because we need to talk about that. You're using taxpayer dollars to discriminate against students whose parents pay taxes. And for me, thank you so much, Linda, that's just totally inappropriate. And so I will be happy to report back, Eileen and I, on what the conversation and dialogue is. So thank you so much for bringing that up in our workshop. And again, I will report back on that because that's an important issue. And then I'm not going to say all that my dear friend on the other end of the hallway said, but I am just going to encourage people to remember to get out and vote. You can vote now. Make sure you vote on or before November 6th. Vote as if your life depends upon it, because it does. All right. So any other comments? No, there are none. And so moving on to review of board requests.
I have no board requests tonight, ma'am.
No requests. Okay, so we are going to have our school board meeting evaluation after we complete and wrap up. What I will do now is adjourn the meeting, and then we will go ahead and have the additional speakers that may have come in. Okay.
Board members and Dr. Grego, we have 14 speakers this evening under general public comments. Our first 2 are Mark Clutho and Laurel Tessitore.
Mark Lutho, Largo. So you say there's a funding shortfall. Well, what the real problem is an extreme leadership shortfall. And then you say, go fund me. Well, that just doesn't work. And then the superintendent says, report out. No, you don't use the out. It's just report. You just don't get the language here. You're supposed to be the teachers. And what you're doing, hearing about these hurricane days, you're making the hurricane days with your stupid buildings belching the hurricane. Getting back to toughening Florida's building code. Well, yeah, you're going to make these buildings so that they may stand up to the hurricane, but are they still going to be belching the carbon? Yeah. You won't embrace the science of the passive solar, high-performance building that makes that mechanical system get very small, that doesn't have to operate all the time, so that you can put solar on the building that doesn't have to be a humongous system, so that, oh, you talk about the grid and it being destroyed. Well, you don't need to worry about the grid and waiting for weeks for it to be up and running again. Grego's not listening. It's malfeasance. Wearing your coats and ties means you have to buy more air conditioning for this stupid building. You don't even get that right. There are going to be more Michaels. It's going to be bad. And by the way, September, the hottest month on record.
Next speaker, please.
And
Next speaker,
September
please.
isn't even considered a summer month.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
You and your never, never land.
I have copies of what I'm about to present. Can I give it to somebody?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Ann will be happy to take those, and thank you.
Dr. Grego and Chairperson Flowers and the whole board. I appreciate this chance to share about something that's so close to my heart. It's called the Spalding Method, and it's a reading, writing, spelling program I happened onto because of a need. My one daughter learned very differently, and it ended up she had dyslexia. I didn't know what that was because I didn't have it, but it was from my husband. I think people should know before they marry. That's part of things. But I still love him.
It's
I've
the
been with him
checklist.
41 years, so I've proven that. But anyway, you know, she was so different, and I didn't know what to do with her. So it made me find something that worked, and I found the Spalding system, and it's a 50-plus-year-old program. Mrs. Spalding is gone, but she left her a whole group in Arizona. The reason we don't know about it here is it's from Phoenix, Arizona, and it's an international group. They have schools in Singapore and Australia. But I have some papers I left with you. It's a systematic instruction of phonics. And what I'm finding from working with children, like you were saying, they don't know the sounds of the letters. This is a research-based program, like I said, over 50 years. Based on solid research, which I will give you, there's a copy of that in there too. And it equips teachers with a wealth of resources to diagnose and get to the problems with children in their reading, writing, and spelling. And the reason it's reading and writing and spelling is a subset, a sub-skill of reading. And writing, the way, it's been proven, the way a child writes a letter is the way they see it in print. So if they're writing incorrectly, they'll reinforce it, they'll read it incorrectly. So let me get my papers here. On the one sheet, this is over 50 years. There's high-level professional development. I had to go through so much training to get my Spalding authorized tutor, and I'm just the low rung on the ladder. And the reason I'm staying at a tutor is I want to work with the children. So I've been working with dyslexic children. That's who comes to me because they're kind of the lacking children in the community. I don't know some of the programs they're in, they don't seem to work for them, because these are wired differently. Oh, my time's up already? Oh, that was really fast.
Review the materials that you left with Ms. Simonetti. And then if persons have further questions or what have you, they can most certainly communicate with you about that.
Okay.
But thank you so much. Thank you for coming and presenting.
Our next two speakers are Melanie Kay and Paul Nevins.
And Madam Chair, as the additional speakers, if you don't mind, if I could make a comment, because there are several speakers to this topic.
Yes, sir.
And I would just like to remind the speakers, I thank Ms. Tessitore for speaking, but as the others are approaching, we have a policy that does not allow the promotion of a product, so I'm not sure if that's where the intent of these presentations are. Certainly you can speak to what you think is a good instructional method and all of that, but if you're representing an organization, this is not the appropriate time to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. So would you like to speak, or was it to, okay.
I kind of want to put a face on the dyslexic situation. My daughter Jenna is 9 years old, and we went to the school to find out what her problems were with reading. And through this, at first I got angry and kind of frustrated with what I was getting back. She goes to Starkey Elementary. Her two brothers are in college now. They graduate from Palm Harbor University, so we've had, kind of a good example of what Pinellas County school boards are. But then we kind of found out that if your kid doesn't fit that certain mold, it's tough. Had her privately tested. We had the IQ tested. None of this was really offered through the school system. And I kind of want to stress that Jenna's going to be fine, because I'm going to take care of her. I'm going to make sure she gets what she needs. I'd kind of like to have your help in providing that. When we sat down with the two people at Starkey Elementary, we were pretty much told, yeah, we don't really work with dyslexia, but we're going to provide some help. If I go to a doctor and tell him my leg's broken and he starts working on my arm, I'm probably going to find a new doctor, aren't I? And with the way dyslexia works, you got to find some kind of program. And I really don't care what the program is, but it needs to be a program that works for the kid with this problem. As I was doing a little research to get ready for this, 1 in 10 kids have some form of dyslexia. So as I kind of counted, 1 1/3 of you guys probably has a touch of it. If you looked at my notes, you'd kind of notice it. I probably have it. So every teacher's probably dealing with 2 kids in the classroom that has dyslexia. And yet, they don't even acknowledge that word in your school system. They have nothing for it, and that's trouble. And if you guys thought about people with dyslexia, you'd miss out on Steven Spielberg, Albert Einstein, Henry Winkler, Tom Cruise. Those are some of the big names that have succeeded in life with this problem. So hopefully you can take some of what I said, talk to each other, because what would we be without Jurassic Park and the fonts? So thanks for your time.
Dr. Grego, just a couple of comments so we can address the service provisions.
Yeah, I'm concerned because I would like to, Ms. Mowat's in the back, you could raise your hand, please, because we just recognize the importance of dyslexia, I think, at the last board meeting, and where we as a school district want to embark and lead the state. Dyslexia is one of those what I consider forgotten disabilities, because some, even in the State Department, don't refer to it as a disability, and it really is something that needs specialized services. So, in fact, this board, just last week, we're looking at opening up a real partnership at Palm Harbor for to educate and join with the medical profession and the researchers on dyslexia, so we can create almost like a lab or demonstration school in our district, so that we can take the very best proven practices and spread them throughout our school district. So I would love, and I don't know to the extent there's other folks here to speak about this specific topic, but I would love to gather your names and have a little focus meeting with Ms. Mowat and myself. And this is something that I'm really passionate about. So if that's the case, I mean, we're happy to listen to you this evening. But if that's the case, I would love to also gather your names. Lynn, if you could just raise your hand one more time, I appreciate it. Or stand, that would be better. So if you could at least connect with her, please, and give us your name and number and way to communicate with you, I would very much appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to.
No, thank you for expanding, because I was going to say something, but thank you for expanding on that as well. Appreciate it. Next speaker, please.
Is Melanie Kay going to speak? No.
Hi, my name is Gail Camara. I am a sophomore at Osceola Fundamental High School, and I wanted to speak more about dyslexia. I am dyslexic, and I found that I grew up in a house of reading. I mean, my mom is here. She's a school teacher. She's a reading teacher. And I would understand everything that my mom would read to me, and it was the decoding I struggled with. And I would sit there and I would read a book, and I would get frustrated because I couldn't read. I couldn't decode it, but I would understand when someone else would do it. And I just feel that, because I'm now in public school, I've been private, I'm nervous. I just feel that I've seen it now, and I feel that helping more with people with dyslexia is definitely, something that should be done. Sorry, I'm really nervous. I'm done.
Thank you for your bravery. Thank you for coming forward. And thank you for not giving up. Thank you for not giving up. Next speaker.
Yes, I'm Pam Kay, and we did take part in this program, and it's not necessarily for sale of the program, but to implement a supplemental type of program, whether it's in the public school, private, charter. It is a good program. I understand what he was saying about selling a product. I don't really feel like it's selling a product. There are some schools around the country that do utilize this curriculum as their sole complete curriculum in the language arts. And my daughter, she's not dyslexic, but we were behind, and in a year and a half span, she progressed 2.5 grade levels in her reading and writing and spelling. So if it wouldn't have been for this particular program, the Writing Road to Reading, the Spalding Method, she would be much farther behind. I mean, it brought her to where she needed to be, and she actually is possibly inspiring to be a writer, and I really do owe a lot of that to her being taught through this method, because it got her, gets the foundation, and it answers a lot of, the grammar rule whys. And when I was in school, and I was fairly good in language arts, but a lot of the grammar rules of, the I before E, so forth, you could say it, but you didn't really know why. And this presents the answers to that. And it does affect, it's effective for many learning abilities, whether it's dyslexic or no ability at all, no disability at all, I'm sorry. It is a multisensory total language program, and there is one school that I happened to look up that wrote information in the book, and they began the program in 2002 as their complete curriculum, and they actually still have it in use today. and they've had great success with it. So, and like Ms. Laurel said earlier, that there are so many kids, that have learning disabilities, and even just supplemental. If somehow her program, whether utilizing, just somehow getting to be able to use scholarship money, say, for a tutoring, supplemental tutoring, with this type of program, some type of pilot, just to see how it would work. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Carla Garcia Lopez and Janet Cunningham.
Hello, good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, and Superintendent Michael Grego. Thank you all for allowing me to address you all this evening. My name is Carla Garcia Lopez. I am a student at St. Petersburg College in the Public Policy Administration Bachelor's Program. I am currently working on my capstone project, which I am here to present to you all. Currently, nearly half of Florida graduating seniors lack comprehension of financial basics, like credit scores, balancing checkbooks, paying back loans, avoiding bankruptcy. While one student leaves school prepared, another leaves school unready to meet financial challenges. Well, we can change that. The change being implementing a financial literacy course, which includes teaching students how to manage money properly to achieve financial success. This course would teach in depth in regard to personal finance, as opposed to what is currently being taught through high school economic courses. A study conducted by the Council of Economic Education found that students in the state with this specific required financial literacy course were more likely to save and pay off credit cards, and less likely to be compulsive buyers and make late payments. This is a course that is inclusive to every student, regardless of social background or whether one decides to go to college or enter the workforce immediately after high school. Every young adult will be subjected to be responsible with their own finances sooner rather than later. And this implementation allows us as the community to give them the tools to be financially responsible adults. While I am aware that this is a bigger issue that should be addressed by the Florida Department of Education and the state representatives, as a community, we can be examples that create the change for the rest of the state. While I conducted my research, I was able to survey our local community. I received feedback from local parents, teachers, administrators, and students of St. Petersburg College. The results show that 88% of residents that I surveyed believe the course to be important for students to take part of and agreed to make the course mandatory. This proposition is a bigger issue that is being discussed at the capital of our state. While it is being deliberated, an important question is being asked, which is there a need for this? I believe there is a need and an urgency for our young adults to be equipped with the tools to live a productive life ahead of their high school careers. With the community support, I ask with respect that as a school board, you highly consider making the important first step for our young adults and implement a mandatory financial literacy course for our local high school students to take in order to equip them with the tools to achieve financial success. Thank you again, school board members and Superintendent Michael Grego, for your time, and if you have any questions or comments, I'll be happy to address them.
Thank you very much for your information.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Grego, Dr. Corbett. My name is Janet Cunningham, and I work at Calvin Hunsinger ESE Center. I came here tonight to talk about a couple of issues, specifically teacher workload, but also about meeting the needs of our ESE kids. After listening to the last 4 or 5 speakers talking about disabilities and concerns, and spending the last almost approximately hour and a half working on just framing out an IEP, school board members who are ESE teachers, you remember those days, I was thinking about the importance of how we serve our kids. Making the IEPs for the kids is an invaluable part of my job. And it takes approximately 8 hours to do each one. And I'm pretty proficient at them. But I spend the time and I put the thoroughness in so that I can meet the unique needs of my kids, specifically the high-need kids in my center. I think about all of my colleagues out there who work as support facilitators in ESE, who may have 30 IEPs to do. And I wonder whether or not the thoroughness is able to be gotten, whether the fidelity is actually there, because the time isn't. I see some nods on the board, and I want you to know that my life is spent working on paperwork. I do it on the weekend, I do it in the evenings, I must do it in my sleep. I sit here tonight with my computer, not being disrespectful, but managing the time that I have to make sure that the needs of my students are met. My students are complex. I say this every single time I come before you. They have multiple issues, and I want to make sure those needs are met. In my center, we try our best, but there's some deficiencies that we run into due to staffing models. We blend classes, putting students in EOC courses and non-EOC courses during the time frame. How are we supposed to meet their needs doing this? We give a load of students to teachers who are teaching 5, 6, 7, 8 preps and expect them to be able to case manage with fidelity. The case management includes talking to parents, guardians, guardian ad litems, school board people. You know it, you've been there, you've seen it. I'm asking tonight for you to acknowledge and look for a way to better meet the needs not only of the teachers who are overwhelmed, but also meet the needs of our students. We are here for them. We want to serve them to the best of our ability, but we are pushed to a point where we may not be meeting that need. Thank you for listening to me tonight, and thank you for considering meeting our needs.
Our next two speakers are Colleen Parker and Mike Gandolfo.
Good evening, members of the school board, Dr. Grego and staff. Many of you, I sent an email earlier today, and I said I'd be speaking tonight, and amazingly, before the end of the school day, the representative from RICO called the school, and our principal had me call him back, and I think we've worked out a solution to the copier problem. I'll know by Thanksgiving, so that's one item that, thank goodness, is taken care of, hopefully. The second one that concerns me goes back to right after Dr. Grego was hired. I came and spoke with all of you about an issue of notifying, it's by statute, notifying teachers and classroom teachers and bus drivers when there's a student in the class that has either been arrested for a felony or is on probation. And I had a student this week who didn't attend my class, and I asked him why, and he said, well, he was visiting with his probation officer. So I went to the principal, and I said, can you please look and tell me why he's on probation? And she tried to find out, but the records only went back a certain amount of time, and his name was not on the list. And this is by statute. It says, shall require notification to any classroom teacher of assignment to the teacher's classroom of a juvenile has been placed in a probation or commitment program for a felony offense. It doesn't say recently placed, it says placed. So we need to know when someone's been put in our classroom, or the bus drivers need to know, regardless of how long ago the felony or the probation happened. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. Recently, the results of the first Teacher Pulse survey was released. I commend you all for initiating the survey and for including PCTA in the process. Many were happy to hear that 70% of our educators felt valued by their administration. Apparently, I'm the head of the complaint department for the other 30%. The results show that 70% of our school leaders are strong leaders who value their staff. The climate in a school is a direct result of leadership at that school. Behind every teacher's complaint is an administrator who is interpreting policy, setting expectations, and establishing a tone that will determine the quality of that teacher's work. If educators are feeling like they are drowning from the stress level, as supported by the current teacher shortage, then too many administrators are tolerating or creating unhealthy working conditions. 70% is a C. For a district like Pinellas, C won't do it. 100% student success requires 100% teacher success. For too many of our teachers, stress is affecting their physical health, mental health, and family lives. To improve on our grade, we need to open dialogue at work sites that are outside of that 70%. Not to seek blame, but to build a team spirit where educators and administrators work together towards student-centered goals. All administrators must understand that a teacher's time is precious and limited. During the uninterrupted planning time, a teacher will plan engaging lessons, assess student work, provide feedback, contact parents, make photocopies, collaborate with colleagues, design instructional materials, research for engaging supplemental resources, enter grades, and complete various kinds of paperwork. All this is impossible to accomplish during a planning time, so the dining room table with stacks of paper on it is not an urban legend. Teachers work at home after their contractual hours. Our best leaders shield their staff from mandates that make no educational sense. They keep the number of meetings to a minimum. They limit distractions to instructional time. And they trust their professional educators and believe that educators are the best judge of the use of their time. The Teacher Pulse Survey is a good tool. I hope that I will continue to be included in that conversation because I believe I can offer some valuable input. By giving educators back their time and their professionalism, we will be able to recruit and retain the best teachers and have 100% student and educator success. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Karen Baldino and Nancy Velarde.
Hi, my name is Karen Baldino, and I teach kindergarten at Skycrest Elementary. My original notes that I wanted to read tonight are actually in my car, which is at the dealer. I happened to write those probably about 1:30 in the morning one night when I woke up and started thinking about school and teaching and wasn't able to go back to sleep. But some of the things I wanted to mention were that at Skycrest, I know we're not one of the highest as far as attendance, but currently our 5 kindergarten classes each have about 20 students in them. That makes it a little bit difficult to utilize technology in the classroom when you have like an iPad cart with 18 iPads in it and you have 20 students sitting in front of you. It's hard to decide who doesn't get to use the iPads and has to use the laptops. The other part is that we are required to do biweekly assessments in both ELA and math. This may not sound like a difficult task, but in kindergarten, a 3 or 4 question assessment needs to be done in small groups with 20 students. That's about 4 or 5 groups. And the math, the last math one, we had to do one-on-one. This takes away so much instructional time to assess students when in kindergarten we continually assess them one-on-one for what they need to learn. Sorry, this is a little bit hard. In addition to administering the biweekly assessments, we have to bubble in the scan sheets and then scan them. So my question is, because we talk about planning time, when are we supposed to bubble them in and scan them and then plan to be able to teach our kids what they need to learn. In kindergarten, we're teaching them the foundation for reading, and it's really difficult when we have to assess them so much. I love teaching, I love kindergarten, but it's really getting to be where there's a lot being put on the plate, not just of the teachers, but of the kids. So thank you for listening.
Good evening. The last time I was here, I asked for your help in alleviating some of the stressors for the teachers who give so much of their time and energy and sleep to the students of this district. Some recent discussions regarding adjusting requirements placed on those already overburdened teachers and the positive movement to alleviate some of those requirements, I can only assume and hope that our pleas to you are being answered. You heard us, and you're helping. If I am correct in my assumption, I would like to thank you for hearing us and helping us. I'm certain I speak for all of my beleaguered colleagues when I offer this heartfelt gratitude. These are the actions of the district I've always envisioned and believed was possible. With true collaboration between all levels of administration and those of us in the classrooms, there is nothing we cannot achieve. Keeping the needs of our students at the forefront of our thoughts and always creating new ways to encourage, educate, and entertain, together we can achieve untold heights, always while considering the needs of all the adults involved. I've always believed that in any partnership, if both partners are mindful of and focus on the needs of the other, the relationship will thrive. I would like to see this district emulate that model, and I'm starting to see evidence of this. This is the direction we shall continue towards while we look at restorative practice in its best intended form, class size as it affects that discipline and reasonable consequences, and stricter attendance policies or options for those who need creative solutions. There are still large issues facing our district and a long road before we attain the full height of our possibility. With this recent, deeper collaboration that I am feeling begin and genuine consideration for the needs of all involved, I truly believe our dream goals can easily become a reality. Thank you again.
Our final speakers for this evening are Lisa Lugo and Ann Preyes.
It's a long night. Hello, my name is Lisa Lugo. I've had the pleasure of meeting several of you. I am a third-year teacher at Lellman Innovation Academy, an alternative education school. My entire career, very short-lived, has been in Pinellas County Schools. I have only worked in the transformation zone and now in an alternative education center. I am the far, the few, the many that would be daring to stay, and I continue to stay anyways. I come here slightly underdressed and a little off topic because I've been awake since 3 o'clock this morning. Not just because we toss and turn thinking about our students, but because I have a second job. My job is at 3 o'clock in the morning to wake up and teach children in China, who have a 12 and 13-hour difference, English through an online company. The reason why I have to do this is because I am the breadwinner of my small family. I have currently finished my master's with USF St. Petersburg, so I stayed local. I have a bachelor's as well from USF St. Petersburg. So with 2 degrees, I was just so eager and happy to be in the classroom. Both my degrees are in education, and I've always dreamed, because both of my parents never finished high school, that I would be the one in my family to continue. The baby of the 4 got the highest degrees, so I'm kind of happy for those bragging rights. The reason why I come to you as a teacher, not just to reiterate what everyone has said, But also, as we're moving forward with the positive bargaining that I got to sit in yesterday and see those great movements forward to finishing up our contracts, that when we get to the concept of money, it's always going to be a funding issue because it is an issue nationwide. Right now, my cousin is a sophomore at USF in Tampa and has just joined with a company that is an insurance. She is a call center rep. As many good college students do, she got a part-time job. She is now a full-time person there, and she is making $2,000 less than I do. She has no college degree, and I have 2. I have accumulated over $54,000 in debt getting my 2 degrees. I worked very hard, and I continue to work hard every day, and every single day, I just wonder how many more days till our next paycheck. Scott, around the corner from me, knows me very well because of how many cash advances I've had to do, and now I am stuck in the cycle. My husband never graduated high school, but he is a hardworking man and works 7 days a week in construction. So with all these issues that come across, funding is always the most important for scholarships and programs, but let's not forget that I have a family to feed too. And as you guys have been so wonderful and opening, I thank you for this discussion.
Good evening. My name is Ann Preuss. I'm an ESOL teacher. I have 39 students. I push in to 9 different classes. My planning time is half an hour, 15 minutes split. So between bathroom and everything else, there's no planning time during the day. And my main concern and my reason for speaking here is my fellow teachers are burning out like crazy. I feel like a Lorax or a canary in a mine as a warning. They're taking mental health days in October. I mean, we got a long way to go. And they are like, I'm never coming back, I'm never teaching again. They're awesome. These people actually have the gift of teaching, and they are fantastic. And they're already saying, this is my last year. I'm not going to do this anymore. Some of them 5, some of them 10. Awesome people. And I'm nearing the end. I will be retiring soon. I made it 37 years, always with the kids, and I absolutely adore teaching. I love it. One of the big issues that we have, because I'm ESOL, because I do K through 5, I do the accommodations for testing. I'm out most of next week because we're testing. I'm out most of September because we're testing. From January to May, I'm out. I do not get to see my children or my groups because we're testing, because I do K through 5. Now, I can put together a MAP test super fast. I can administer it super fast. ESOL children get extra time. They get help with some of the translations. We have several children in our school because of Hurricane Marie from Puerto Rico. They speak absolutely no English. They're learning rapidly, and they are absolutely amazing. But as someone said to me once, the curriculum has become a mile wide and a 1/4 inch thick. It needs to be reversed. It needs to be really, really deep and narrower for the primary grades. That's why kids don't know letters. That's not why they don't know sounds. We need to be able to really focus in on that. And honestly, biweekly testing, you're not going to have much of an improvement when you test every Friday because they don't have enough time to learn it. And they actually need more time. And even my babies that don't speak English are tested, and they look at it and like they just crumble. So I'm the Lorax. Please, if you can do something. Oh, and with the biweeklies, could they please match what we're supposed to be teaching? Thank you.
That's it? All right. Well, thank you all so very much for coming. To those of you that spoke very passionately about education, thank you so much. For those of you that acknowledge the fact that we are trying to work collaboratively together for the betterment of our students and for our county. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate acknowledging that. Thank you.